Welcome Capricorn to your in-depth monthly horoscope for October for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for. Please stay with me. I will delve much deeper and explore all the key dates and influences particularly relevant to your sign. Now Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, has been in a retrograde in your sign since June the 11th. And on the 11th of this month, Pluto goes forwards. But it's also in a clash with Pluto through the 3rd and onto the 12th of this month. So we really need to look at that. That could be quite an intense time. But Pluto going forwards, I think generally is going to be very helpful to you. Now, the first part of this month is going to be a lot to do with your professional role, your goals and ambitions, and your place in the world. But the second part of the month is very much about your social situation. Please stay with me for more. I'd just like to share a very exciting opportunity with you. If you order your year 2024 personal horoscope forecast now based on your personal birth data, I'll prepare for you the rest of year 2023 free of charge. Plus, in my special 30% off package, you can get your character analysis report, your life roadmap. This will give you searing insights into the patterns that have played out in your life so far, but give you a much more intimate understanding of how to make the most of these. Please see beneath this video for more. And finally, if you've yet to watch your year 2024 zodiac forecast, please see the link below where you can do so for free. So Capricorn, as you come into October, Mars, the planet of passion, is in a very assertive part of your situation, forging a very sensual link with Venus, which is coming to the end of its journey through the sign of Leo. Now for you, that's house 8, but there has potentially been some delays over a financial issue because of Venus's retrograde, or perhaps it's around intimacy. Your love life may have been a little bit unpredictable. Perhaps a point of principle has been the issue, or perhaps you live quite away from someone you've been drawn to. Communication generally has been quite challenging since the end of July because Mercury has been going through that whole retrograde season lasting 10 weeks and emerges on the 5th of this month into the same part of your situation as the Sun and also Mars. However, Mars's link with Venus in the early part of this month does suggest if you are exploring anything entrepreneurial to do with a business situation or a new job, a mixture of your personal skills, the way you relate, but the conviction with which you relate, Venus in your 8th house and Mars in the very confident 10th house, is a great combination. You could also find that someone is drawn to you because they see you as someone who really is very assured, and they may find that quite the turn on. But Mercury moving on the 5th could mean for some Capricorns you start to think about adding to your skill set. And although Mercury is going to be sweeping into the sign of Scorpio on the 22nd, over this next couple of weeks, if you explore some courses, check out ways that you can learn new skills, or even apply for a job, it wouldn't be a surprise because Mercury in the 10th house can certainly trigger those things. But from the 3rd through to the 12th, Mars is in a trickier right angle, as I mentioned before, with Pluto in your sign. If there is somebody in your interactions who you feel in some way tries to dominate you, it could be something that really is quite triggering across this period of days. But equally, someone may feel that you're the one who wants to get your own way at all times. So anything to do with power dynamics are definitely going to be emphasized very strongly. Now, you can be very strong-willed, and that's not a bad thing, but it's also important for all of us to understand what are the issues that are worth going into battle over. And because Venus is going to be moving to replace Mercury in Virgo on the 9th, Venus in the ninth house is very much about the higher truth of relationships, but it is blocked by your ruler Saturn almost immediately. So I think there could be some tense conversations around the 9th or 10th of this month, and perhaps it is because you feel that someone talks down to you, doesn't respect you, doesn't appreciate your input, or it could be that someone is saying back to you, look, the way you're handling this situation means that I'm feeling uncomfortable. But it all could be driven by that Mars-Pluto square. But Venus opposite Saturn is a very cold aspect, and if you have a difference of opinion, or it's a difference of values, that can show itself very strongly at that point. Now, I mentioned in the prelude that Pluto goes direct on the 11th, which is great news. It's going to go into your second house on the 21st of January next year and spend near to 40 weeks in Aquarius next in 2024, which brings the focus back on more on resources. But gloriously on the 12th, Mars powers its way into your 11th house, the sign of Scorpio, which it governs. Now, Mars in the 11th house is really lovely because the 11th house is about the collective, but it's also about friendships. But whereas Mars in the 10th house almost has to be right, has to almost be the centre of attention. I'm not saying that's true of you, because remember, this was a passing 6.5 week transit of Mars in its weakest sign in Libra, where it's detrimented. But moving into your 11th house, this is where your ability to relate to people, be very inclusive, be part of a team, an important part of a team, I must say, but also the 11th house can be about thinking of our future, our longer term plan. But whereas Mars in the 10th is about neat goals and ambitions and recognition, the 11th house is much more spiritual. It's about our higher purpose. And really from this point on through to the end of the month, your network is going to become incredibly important. But on the 14th, we have a solar eclipse. It's a new series going across the signs of Libra and of Aries. The Aries solar eclipse will be on the 8th of April next year. But this one for you, once more, is emphasizing your interactions with the wider world. If you're in a situation where, whether it's to do with COVID or to do with work from home or technological changes like AI, that your position has shifted or altered and you're needing to review, I feel that this solar eclipse is very, very helpful to you. And it's going to provide a backdrop energy for the next 6 months. But then, because we have another solar eclipse in Libra on the 4th of October next year, the total period when I feel that you could be redefining your role, your professional hopes and aspirations, gaining greater recognition, taking on more responsibility, perhaps going up the ladder of success, that's actually going to last for the next year and a half. It's just that Uranus is angling in a tense way with this solar eclipse, and Uranus is in a very free-spirited part of your situation. It may be in the rather resistant Taurus, but for you this is house 5. You need to be very uniquely yourself. But if you want to make it all the way to the boardroom, the 10th house solar eclipse says it's about playing to the rules. Now, you understand about convention, and you know that if you're very persistent and patient, very often that does bring you what you want. But I don't think that will be enough during this next year and a half. I feel to really feel satisfied with remodeling your place in life, it has to reflect in some ways the heart part of your nature, so your passion. It can't just be based on how much you earn, the status and so forth. And if you do go against that, I feel that you may go through a few jobs before you find the one that's really right for you, because you're needing to be authentic within that construct. Whether it's a big business, your own business, you need to be yourself. Now, we all know we can't have everything on our own terms, and that's just standard for life. But you may find yourself with a little bit of a dilemma at times. So from the 19th to the 21st, Mercury now squares up with Pluto. Pluto in your sign, very much about your individuality. Mercury in the 10th house could be coming into contact with someone in a position of authority, a manager, some kind of officialdom, and they may want to bend you to their way of thinking, Mercury. But also at the heart of those 3 days, there is a Mercury cazimi. It's a superior conjunction. So the sun will be what we can see, but Mercury is behind it. And what the sun does is magnify the brilliance of Mercury. So here, despite Pluto's square, your ability to think agilely and quickly and also speak up is going to be emphasized. So if you need to push back on this person who's being, high and mighty, that is really going to help. But then the sun squares up with Pluto as well. So you can see from the 3rd to the 12th Mars, 19th to the 21st Mercury, and then the sun just before it moves into Scorpio on the 23rd are all clashing with Pluto in your sign. So perhaps part of this is it's going to be an inner conflict that goes on with you. There may be some options that you have, and you kind of know that if you go for it in terms of the money, the package, the car, or whatever it is, that may be good for you at one level, may give you more physical and practical security, but you may be suspicious that it will dilute your ability to be a free spirit and manifest your individual creativity and talent. You may know this, so it may be an inner conflict, or it could be someone you experience who's trying to bend you into a particular stance, or it may be that your more dynamic nature could be perceived by someone else as you being rather forceful in order to get your way. But the great news is that once the sun moves on the 23rd into Scorpio, it immediately connects with your ruler Saturn. So the 11th house is the collective, your friendships, your network, your social world, but also your longer term plan and also your highest ideals. But it's linking with Saturn in the part of your situation to do with how you express your ideas. So despite the fact that there may be these tensions, possibly professionally earlier in the month and as the month goes on, I think your friendships and your connections are going to really come in the latter part of this month and really provide a lot of reassurance. In fact, you could find yourself at the heart of things. I mentioned that was possible with Mars, but Mars is going to be linking with Mercury in the last week, and in turn they're going to be in opposition with Jupiter. So Jupiter, like Uranus, is in your 5th house, and Jupiter is the planet of fortune, and when it's in an opposition with Mars, it can increase our desire, but also it can increase our self-belief that whatever we're going to do will work out well. Which brings us to the second eclipse of this month on the 28th. This is a lunar eclipse. It's in the sign of Taurus, where you have Uranus and also Jupiter. And Jupiter's very, very close to the position of the eclipse. So over the next 6 months, this will also, just like the solar eclipse, be very active for you. What we need to do is understand how both the eclipses together will have a joint effect on your situation. So the solar eclipse is saying there's part of you that may want more recognition, who's prepared to work very hard on goals and ambitions, and you could change your job or your life role in quite a big way. But the position of the lunar eclipse is saying, and also the quincunx and Uranus, the solar eclipse, it needs to be fun. It needs to be enjoyable too. And if you don't have that, those two principles working just as you want, something could feel out of kilter. So it is a test, but I feel that the combination of Mars and Mercury in your 11th house is going to give you a lot of conviction. If you need to be persuasive, for example, if you work in a community role and you have to inspire people, you'd be absolutely incredibly effective in getting your point of view across towards the end of this month. And I just think your general bubbliness, maybe it's you saying, look, let's get together and do this. We can go off together as a group. We can have great fun. You can organise a holiday, or perhaps you're going to do something in your community for the greater good. Your motivation towards the end of this month is going to be incredibly high. And I think because there are going to be some stresses around work, responsibilities, obligation, your leadership role, I feel that having the opportunity to let your hair down and be freer as this month draws to a close is something you're really going to appreciate. But, you know, you do have that very ambitious side to your nature. And I feel that if your ambitions are to spend more time with your grandchildren, learn to play the piano, spend more time swimming, going for walks, or making it up the ladder of success, it depends on what uniquely appeals to you. They are going to be important to you over the next year and a half, but they need to be fun. So your pragmatism needs to be coupled with a positive enthusiasm that really makes you feel inspired and involved. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do check out your year 2024 astrology and horoscope forecast for Capricorn, which is in the link beneath this video. But for now, good luck, take care. Please like, comment, share or subscribe.